Hi, I'm Jamie, and welcome to What's Happening in Space for May 27th, 2026. For the past year, skywatchers across northern Japan have been seeing something very unusual in the night sky. Instead of the normal green northern lights that most people know, parts of the sky were glowing deep red. In some cases, the entire northern horizon appeared covered in a faint crimson haze. The strange auroras were mainly seen over Hokkaido between June 2024 and March 2025. At first, scientists thought they were just another effect from the Sun's current active period, known as the solar maximum, but new research released this week suggests there may be much more going on. Researchers studying the event discovered the red auroras were forming much higher above Earth than expected. Some reached altitudes between 500 and 800 kilometres above the planet. This is far above where most auroras normally appear. The team now believes these displays may have been caused by hidden solar storms that were actually stronger than they first appeared. According to the study, streams of charged particles from the Sun may have compressed Earth's magnetic field much more intensely than scientists realised. That pressure appears to have heated the upper atmosphere. It also pushed the aurora-forming region to extremely high altitudes. Because the lights formed so high up, the oxygen atoms in the atmosphere released a red glow instead of the usual green colour. One reason the story is getting attention is because these red auroras were visible much farther south than normal. Auroras are usually strongest near the polar regions. Seeing them over Japan in this way is considered rare. What makes it even more fascinating is that Japan may have recorded the same phenomenon hundreds of years ago. Scientists recently compared the modern sightings with historical records from medieval Japan. One famous diary entry from the year 1204 described mysterious red lights glowing in the northern sky over Kyoto. The account came from the poet Fujiwara no Tika, who wrote that the sky looked as though it was burning red at night. Researchers now think people back then may have witnessed the same kind of extreme high altitude aurora. The timing of all this was also important because the Sun is currently near the peak of its 11-year activity cycle. Over the past year, solar flares and geomagnetic storms have become much more common across the world, including rare sightings much farther south than usual. For astronomers and skywatchers, these red auroras are becoming one of the most beautiful signs that the Sun is entering a very active period. But for scientists, they may also be revealing that some solar storms are behaving in ways we still do not fully understand. NASA has now taken another major step toward building a permanent base on the Moon. On May 26th, the agency announced the first big contracts connected to the project. NASA selected 4 private space companies to help develop the vehicles and systems needed for future lunar missions. One of the biggest companies involved is Blue Origin, the space company founded by Jeff Bezos. The company received a contract worth about 188 million American dollars. Blue Origin has been working on lunar landers for years. This is one of the clearest signs yet that NASA sees the company as a major part of the Artemis program moving forward. The company is also developing a much larger version of the lander that could eventually carry astronauts down to the lunar surface later this decade. Another company selected was Astrolab. Astrolab is building a new lunar rover called Flip. NASA wants these vehicles to travel across the rough terrain near the Moon's south pole. The rover can drive itself or carry astronauts on board. It is much larger than the small rovers used during the Apollo missions. NASA awarded Astrolab roughly $219 million for the project. The company has also talked about eventually adapting the rover for Mars missions in the future. Lunar Outpost was also selected. The company is already known for developing robotic exploration vehicles. Its rover designs focus heavily on autonomous operations and resource exploration. NASA gave Lunar Outpost a contract worth about $220 million. Interestingly, NASA is supporting multiple rover companies at the same time. The agency appears to want competition between designs instead of relying on a single company. The final company selected was Firefly Aerospace. Firefly is developing robotic drones for a mission called Moonfall, planned in 2028. These drones will not fly like helicopters because the Moon has almost no atmosphere. Instead, they will use small rocket bursts to hop across the surface. NASA wants them to explore dangerous terrain and inspect craters near the lunar South Pole. Some of these craters may contain frozen water ice. What makes this story important is how different it is from the Apollo era. Back then, NASA built almost everything itself. Now the agency is handing different jobs to different private companies. One company builds landers, another builds rovers, another builds robotic scouts. NASA's goal is no longer short visits to the moon. The agency is now planning for a permanent presence there during the 2030s. Thank you for watching What's Happening in Space. Remember to like and subscribe, and if you have anything you'd like to add, please leave them in the comments below. Until next time, bye for now.